I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2016 annual business meeting of the Jacksonville-Onslow Economic Development, also known as the Committee of 100. I know most of you, but in case you don't know me, my name's Ed Garris. I'm market executive for Yadkin Bank, or at least that's the name of the bank today. Could change any time. And this year, I have the pleasure of serving as the chairman of the board. So thank you for allowing me to do that. Next, I'd like to acknowledge our elected officials and special guests, and hopefully I won't leave anybody out. Onslow County Commissioners, and please hold your applause until the end, if you would. County Commissioners Paul Buchanan, W.C. Jarman, Jack Bright, thank you all, and then Mayor of Holly Ridge, Anita Dingler. There's Anita. From the office of Senator Richard Burr, Janet Bradbury, and from the office of Senator Tom Tillis, Adam Caldwell. From the Board of Education, back there in the back, Pam Thomas, Chairman, and Bob Williams. From Marine Corps Installations East, Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune, Colonel Mike Scalise, thank you. And then also Steve Wangren, who's also on our board, but on the board of the Rural Infrastructure Authority, and Sandra Fountain with North Carolina DOT. So let's all give them a... Oh, and I'm sorry, Sheriff Hans Miller. That was my fault. She had you on the list. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Next, we'll pause to enjoy a delicious lunch prepared for us by Golden Corral. All right, so we're officially going to call the 2016 annual business meeting to order. We do have a quorum by attendance, so we can do business. The only item that's on our agenda is the election of the 2016-17 directors. Our organization is led by a dedicated group of 18 elected and 21 ex officio members who give unselfishly of their time and energy to help make Onslow County a better place to do business. The 2015-16 directors are listed inside your program, so please take a moment to take a look at those. In 2013, we established staggered terms for the 18 elected director positions. Our bylaws require these directors to be elected from our investor membership. I'd like to thank our departing directors, Mike Alford, Cliff Ray, Chuck Azell, and Elliot Potter. We appreciate their contributions to the JOED board and to the economic prosperity in our community. Thank you for starting that off, Dr. Lingle. That was the next thing I was going to say. Let's have a round of applause. But thank you. The nominating committee has nominated the following individuals to serve terms as elected directors. Please see your ballot inside your program for the list. Nominees, when I call your name, please stand and remain standing through the vote, if you would. Okay, the following individuals are nominated to fill vacated seats. Christopher Klassen with BB&T to serve a 2-year term. Matt Ray with Ray Properties to serve a 2-year term. And Matt's out of town, couldn't be here today. Jason McLeod with ECS to serve a 1-year term. Okay, and the following individuals are nominated to fill a 3-year term. Bob Dickerson with Marine Federal Credit Union. Frank Irwin, attorney. Ed Garris with Yadkin Bank. Buddha Howard with First Citizens Bank. Billy Sewell with Platinum Corral, and Steve Wangren with Coastal Bank and Trust. And don't be concerned that some of these people aren't here today. The people that are on our board are very busy, and they are serving our community wherever they are right now. So, and I think Buddha Howard actually is under the weather. So, okay, at this time, I'd like to see if there's any nominations from the floor. Okay, we have a first and a second. Okay, we can take a verbal vote. And all JOED investors can vote verbally here. All in favor of the slate, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, slate's approved. And thank you all for agreeing to serve. We really appreciate it. Next on the agenda is Sheila Knight, and she's going to give a JOED update in 7 minutes or less. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Ed. As I began to prepare my State of the JOED comments for today, I realized how much I wanted to share with you, but I did remember that Ed thinks I lay awake at night creating PowerPoints in order to keep him in meetings. So I am going to give you a very brief, fast-paced, and concise report today. I do invite you to call my office and come on over if any of you would like to have the longer version, because most of you who know me know that I can talk about this at length and would love to. So we're going to pass through this pretty quickly, have a very short PowerPoint, and let's get going. I decided to kind of take a few liberties with Stephen Covey's habit number 2, to start with the end in mind, and pretty much tried to be very concise about what our desired results are. Enable Jacksonville-Onslow County to be competitive in the economic development marathon. And many of you have heard me say this. Economic development is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Our board of directors indicated that we should attempt to do this by focusing on the 2 top strategies in our 5-year business plan and our annual plan, which is marketing and outreach and market and asset development. A huge component of our marketing and outreach, actually, is the collaboration that we have developed with several of our partners by building relationships. With the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina, who is represented here today, we have a good relationship. I have the pleasure of serving on their board of directors. I have also served as a part of their Economic Development Advisory Committee, along with other local economic developers across the state. And we participate in their co-op marketing plan and have had the pleasure to establish the Southeast Prosperity Zone co-location office within the JOED offices at the Commerce Center. And we hope you'll come by and visit. We have several of the representatives from that office here today. We're also very proud of our long-term relationship with the North Carolina East Alliance. John Chafee's in the room today, and we have an outstanding relationship with them, as in our very own Vice Chairman, Paul Buchanan, serves as their chairman. So we take advantage of the opportunities of the groups there and also do a lot of prospecting and co-marketing with them. And then this year, as a part of our business plan, we also joined the North Carolina Southeast Partnership. And Ed Garris, our chairman, serves on that board of directors. And we take advantage of several of the prospecting events there. So all of this collaboration basically allows us to basically have maximum opportunities for prospects, for businesses coming to our area. Another aspect of our marketing and outreach actually is both home and away. We take advantage of doing community presentations, attend a lot of marketing and prospecting events, and do a lot of collaboration opportunities, in addition to trying to keep our investors and our community informed of what we're doing. So we try to stay very busy in telling our story, not only to the community, but also at all the prospecting events that we have an opportunity to attend. We have been slowly changing our branding and call ourselves often JOED. It's certainly less of a mouthful than saying Jacksonville-Onslow Economic Development, and it helps to basically identify us and maybe keep us a little bit separate from some of the other organizations in the community that also say Jacksonville-Onslow. We rolled out our new website earlier this year, and we also have created our new email addresses, all with the JOED NC brand. And now you can even like us on Facebook. I have been drugged into the social media world, and I certainly have to give Cheryl Bear, our marketing membership coordinator, the kudos for that, because she kind of kept Dan and I's nose to the grindstone to get there. So please like us on Facebook. Another big part of our strategy was our market and asset development. We're very fortunate that we've got several business and industrial parks that we can work with to try to generate some sites. Most of you are aware the county has recently obtained a grant, and they're extending the road into the industrial section of our park here so that we can access the rest of our industrial property for future use. We work with local brokers and local property owners to identify sites and buildings, because all of the marketing and prospecting in the world will not do us any good if we do not have anything to sell them when we bring them here. So a great deal of effort needs to go into making sure we have that product available. Market and asset development, second tier of that, and quite frankly, this is the most important, and that is focusing on our existing industry in our community. We monitor, try to stay in touch with about 25 of our businesses and industries here and large employers. And many of you have heard me say, and again, that's a part of that longer version, is that we have more industry in Onslow County than a lot of people realize. They're not usually incredibly visible, and they keep to themselves and just do what they do well. But we try to make sure that we can stay in touch with them and let them know that their business is appreciated and that we want to be there to help them grow and prosper. So if there's anything we can do, call us first and let us see if we can and help them get through that. 60 to 80% of all new jobs nationwide typically come from your existing businesses. And it just makes sense to take care of the ones you have, because you can be sure if you're not, somebody else is trying to recruit them away. So they need to be happy in your community. So we ask them to call us first. So the question is all this effort working? Well, we think it is. And I know you have on all of your tables, you have a little dashboard report, which I'll just reference again in a minute. But I've tried to condense all the metrics that we track. We track trends, we track numbers, we count everything because we want to see if we're making progress. And I think this right here maybe says it all. Of the leads that come into our organization, and they could come from EDPNC, they can come from the East Alliance, they could come from the Southeast Partnership, they can come from our own marketing and efforts. Of the leads that come into our office, you'll see the difference from last year, which was a total of 32, and that year to date, we've already had 61. So we've doubled our leads already year to date. The big number here that I think is important is to see that we have been able to respond to almost 4 times as many this year as we were able to do last year. And that's a direct result of the fact that we actually have the product that we can answer when we get the request for information in. If they're looking for a building or a particular site, if we can't respond with that product and site, we're off the list, never to get back on it again. So our goal is to stay in that hunt as long as we can. So we certainly don't want to get knocked out on the first blush. So we're real pleased with these numbers. And we think it's starting to show up. Right now, we are currently working with 6 new prospects. And these are real prospects, people that have either visited our community or we've had an opportunity to meet and visit with. And we've got 2 existing industry expansions right now that we're working on. And most of these projects, and especially the existing industry expansions, are long-term. But we hope that you'll be able to see the benefit with an announcement before too very long. Final thoughts. Jacksonville-Onslow County is in a very good place, I think, as a result of years of work, and I think especially the last few years. I'd venture to say we're probably in the best place we have been. And we expect to have a very busy next few years based on what the 12 months have looked like as an indication. The reason we're in a good place is because we, and I say we as a community, realize that we've got to create product to sell if it's not available in the marketplace. We have built the relationships that are going to ensure that we have a seat at the table and we'll get asked the questions, sent the RFIs. Our leadership, both of Jacksonville-Onslow Economic Development, our elected leadership of the county, and all the municipalities have acknowledged what the economic development marathon rules of the game are and are willing to play according to the rules. And because of those, we are recognized as a credible player, both regionally and at the state level. And I think that's a great accomplishment for us, because in the next couple of years, as this economy seems to be loosening up a little bit, and you've seen the numbers of the inquiries we're starting to get, we're ready to play. We are ready to play and win. In fact, we're playing to win. So appreciate all your support. I mentioned the dashboard that's on your table. Again, the dashboard is kind of a snapshot in time. One side gives you some Onslow County statistics that you were kind of watching the trends of how we're growing and improving over the last couple of years. If you have any specific questions about that, please see Dan and Cheryl, who have labored to collect all that data and put it in a snapshot form for you. But I think those diagrams and charts and all kind of speak for themselves. Speaking of Dan and Cheryl, I would like to acknowledge them, the remainder of we're a three-man office, three-legged stool. We can't do anything without each one of us there, but it's a great team, and I really, really appreciate all the work and effort and passion that they put into what we do. You're very blessed to have a great team in our office. And I'd also like to thank Cheryl for the logistics for today, because she set this up and basically told me to stay out of her way. So thank you, Cheryl, very, very much. So, told you that'd be brief. Did you time me? Okay. With that, I would like to introduce our very special guest today, Secretary Cornell Wilson. Cornell, as he likes to be called. Many still call him General. And his bio is in your program. And I'm not going to read that for you because I know many of you have already read that based on some comments that you've made. But I will share with you just a couple of additional pieces of information before asking him to come up and visit with us today. Prior to assuming this role that he currently holds now as the Secretary of the North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, in October of 2015, he served as a military advisor for the governor of North Carolina. He advises the governor, state agencies, and the General Assembly on initiatives to support the Department of Defense and Homeland Security installations in communities located in the state. He also chairs the governor's working group on veterans, service members, and their families to ensure their needs are met through coordination and collaboration with the Veterans Administration, state agencies, and veterans organizations. And I did a little bit of research and talked to a couple little birdies out there, and I'm going to ask him that in his comments today to maybe share with us a couple of personal things. Like, it's my understanding that you led troops in Iraq, and there's a story regarding the Foreign Services mass spectrometer. When I heard that, I went, mass spectrometer. I thought that was off of NCIS, so I want to hear that story today. I also know that he and his wife of 35 years have 3 adult children and 1 grandson, and one of your sons is now in the Marine Corps Reserves, I believe? One son? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, very good. And although, obviously, by looking at Secretary Wilson and meeting him, you can tell he's a very stoic, somewhat quiet man. But I understand growing up he had pet chickens named Fred and Ethel. I thought that would warm the crowd up for you, Secretary Wilson. Thank you for coming today.
All right, who spilled the beans? Well, thank you so much, Sheila. Appreciate that. And it's a delight to be back here in Jacksonville once again. I spent 6 years here at Camp Lejeune, or 6 in this area. 3 at Camp Lejeune and 3 at Camp Lejeune, as they pronounce it now. So I got to get used to pronouncing it that way. But we did talk to the family in Norfolk about this, and they said the name is Lejeune. So we said, okay, that's what we'll call it, Lejeune. But the mass spectrometer story, I was a chemistry major in college, and so my task force in Iraq was consisted of Germans, Czech Republic, Romanians, Ukrainians, and 5 different countries that all wanted to come to the war in Iraq, but not wanted to fight, so to speak. So they were NBC folks, good hard charge. Germans are very, very good soldiers. They were all good soldiers. And so with the nuclear biochemical equipment, detects different things that tell you what you have to watch out for. And so the German vehicle has a mass spectrometer on it. And I use those in college, and it kind of detects materials that you have in the area. So you can, in the vehicle, put your hand in a glove that reaches outside the vehicle and pull information or dirt back into the vehicle itself and put it in a mass spectrometer and test things, make sure you can find out what it is in the area. My Czech Republic guys were not quite as sophisticated. They had equipment, old Soviet equipment, And they were good soldiers, but just not that technically sound. So during the war itself, we got a call they had a biological hit. And I'm thinking, oh God, that's some bad stuff there, biological stuff. And so we had the ambassador put his mask on and everything else. He was masked up for about 4 hours. And then my guys came up to me and said, sir, wasn't it quite exactly a biological hit? I said, well, what was that? Well, our equipment was too close to the sewer system and we were hitting on craps. Thank you, Kimberly, for letting that story be told. But truth be told, they were good soldiers, and we had a very good operation there to help make sure we helped the citizens of Kuwait and the Persian Gulf countries to be able to avoid any mass attacks and kind of get through the whole situation itself. And so I enjoyed working with those guys. But being a young kid from South Carolina in charge of over a couple thousand foreign troops and trying to make them work together was a task. I'm thinking, why me, Lord? Why me? But and the German guys were very, very good. They had great equipment. If you ever think about chemical or nuclear stuff, if you get hit by that, radiology, they have a vehicle that you can walk inside and be able to get detected and cleaned up. And won't let you out until you're fully clean of all the radioactive stuff. So it was pretty innovative stuff, and I was really pleased that we had those guys on our team. So they had great equipment, but they were very restricted about what they wanted to do. I said, we have an operation to go and do, and the commander said, well, I'm not going to do that. What? You got to do what I say. I'm in charge. Oh, I don't want to do that. Well, why not? Well, you don't have transfer authority. You can't tell me what to do. What's the transfer of authority? That's when the government from that particular country says you can take charge of these troops. Otherwise, they're just here working with you. You don't have to do what you say. They can do what they want to do, and that's what they did. So I'm like, this is a real kick in the butt. But for the most part, they all worked together pretty well. We got through the whole situation without any loss of life, and certainly had a good chance to represent the American government in this effort, saving lives over there for people. I want to talk to you today a little bit about our Military Affairs Commission. The new Department of Government stood up, and he is really high on veterans and the military. And I'll tell you why in a little bit, but he has always talks a story about his cousin who was in Vietnam and came back from Vietnam, was treated very poorly, as most Vietnam veterans were at that time. You know, and he wasn't spat upon, but just given the bad razzles and those kind of things. And he said, I never want to see that happen to my troops again. So as governor of North Carolina, he has done a great job of recognizing that veterans and troops are very important to our economy, very important to national security, and anybody that has served in uniform will be well recommended, well received by this state to make the most military-friendly state in the country. And we are working toward that effort as he stood up the department itself. Got some scripted comments. I'll go through those pretty quickly and then have any time for questions for you if you want to ask any questions. We have the fourth largest military presence in the country. Over 135,000 active duty, reserve, and National Guard soldiers and sailors, Marines, and airmen in this state. We have the eighth largest veterans population, about 800,000 veterans in this state that choose North Carolina home. We have 7 large installations: Camp Lejeune, Fort Bragg, New River Air Station, which you're all very familiar with, Cherry Point Marine Corps Air Station, Elizabeth City Coast Guard Station, and also the largest ammunition depot in the world in South Point near Wilmington. So we have a very large commitment toward the military in our state. On September 18, 2015, the governor signed the law, State Law 2015-241, which established the first ever North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. And this elevated us to have a voice for the military and veterans be consolidated in the executive level agency. By statute, we have tasked with 23 specific functions involved working with the federal government, state, local, and regional, and industry partners to support our activities at North Carolina's military installations and improve economic outcomes and the quality of life for our military and veteran communities. We also support the governor's working group for veterans and the North Carolina Military Affairs Commission, which provides recommendations on military matters. And I would like to certainly recognize General McKissick, one of our committee chairs on the Military Affairs Commission, and also Bob Dickerson, and certainly Representative Cleveland, who's been a part of that commission as well. They do great work in trying to elevate the story about our military and how we can make sure we can increase the military value for those installations. In the department itself, we have 82 field officers, all veteran services officers, and they're here in this area, Wilmington, and across the state to help veterans get their claims processed properly. And we have 4 state nursing homes, veteran nursing homes. One is in Kinston, one in Black Mountain, Fayetteville, and the other place is Salisbury. And we have veteran cemeteries in Fayetteville, Jacksonville, Black Mountain, and Goldsboro. So if you want to go from cradle to grave, we can do it right here in this state. We have a scholarship program for wartime veterans' children. We have 1,600 students that get these awards, and it's a $9 million hit to the state for giving these kids these scholarships. On April 20th, 2016, we unrolled our strategic plan for supporting and enhancing North Carolina's military missions and installations. Strategic plan is on our website, the DMVA website. You can take a look at that. I have a copy here if anyone wants to see it. It talks about how we want to make sure we can help assist our installations to be more military ready in case we have a downsize or eventually a BRAC. The service already talking about a BRAC, but they have not been approved by Congress for the last 5 years. The capacity for the Army and the Air Force is the biggest thing. The Navy and the Marine Corps are pretty well set, so that's we're okay with that. But still, in a downsized economy or a downsized budget for the military, there's concern about trying to maintain those installations and also fight wars. You know, we're in Syria, we're in Iraq, we're in Afghanistan, and that's something we have to really watch pretty closely. So we want to make sure we can support those bases, those installations, with our efforts here in the state, take some of the pressure off of them. We also want to report the outline of strategy to maximize our unique and military assets and accomplish our 4 core objectives: supporting and enhancing our military installations and our mission, increasing the economic impact of the military and defense industry in this state, improve the quality of life for our service members and their families, and also providing legislative and state agency support from the state of government of North Carolina to help with military-related items, such as the windmill issue that came up several years ago. Legislation was passed to make sure that we can permit those companies that are not interfering with the military flight routes, going from Seymour Johnson down to Dare Bombing Range, and for our Marine Corps as well. You know, if a 500-foot windmill and a low-level flying route of 500 feet does not quite work, somebody's going to lose, and it's usually the pilot. Marine Corps pilot knows that very well. My son-in-law is one, so I'll make sure he gets back to the Camp Lejeune and flies in a place that allows him to be able to train like he's be able to fight and go to war and win. We've been working very hard with Governor McCrory and our state and local partners to make sure that in our congressional delegation to be able to bring all the different things we need to make sure we can help our installations out here in the state. Some of the things we've done with the congressional delegation and also with the bases, we're getting some opportunities here. The Air Force has selected Seymour Johnson Air Force Base for the new tanker, the Pegasus, and that's been a preferred alternative for that base. We're doing an environmental impact study now, and we should know by the end of the year when we get awarded that new aircraft. That'll be an aircraft here for 50 years. It'll replace the KC-135 tanker and be a reserve unit there that's going to manage that. And we're very proud of the opportunity that they selected Seymour Johnson as the base to host that aircraft. And so there's opportunity there for additional personnel to come on board to support that effort, and we're excited about that. We have Charlotte getting the new C-17 aircraft, and 8 of those coming to Charlotte be replacing the KC-130s. The mission for KC-130s and National Guard there is to go firefight in the western part of the state. And so this mission changes what they'll be doing. There'll be strategic lift for the Air Force, for the entire military, to be able to carry troops and cargo around the world. So a better mission for those guys, and also an increased amount of people working in Charlotte at that air base. About 75 more jobs will be required to help support the C-17s there. And also, we're looking at Joint Strike Fighter coming up to Cherry Point. Saw General Davis yesterday. He talked about the aviation plan for the Marine Corps. We're very excited about what's going to happen at Cherry Point. The Joint Strike Fighter will have about 94 aircraft is on the plan right now, and also the vertical lift fan maintenance facility. We're talking about adding more civilian jobs up there, and also the requirement to support the Joint Strike Fighter. This aircraft is really amazing. If you get a chance to visit this demo up in DC, or when they bring it back down here again, get a chance to sit in that aircraft cockpit simulator. It is just something else. It's eye-watering what they can do. I talked to one of the pilots who retired from the Marine Corps, and he said the Joint Strike Fighter is just light years ahead of what he's ever seen or expected to do with an aircraft. So you can actually put a helmet on, and this thing sees 360 degrees around where you are in the cockpit. You can see right between your legs, down what's on the ground. You can look back, and the governor actually had a chance to fly the Joint Strike Fighter demo up in D.C. Didn't crash it, but he shot one of my tanks, so I wasn't happy about that. But he's very excited about that coming here as well, and we'll keep doing all the things we need to do to make sure the base is prepared for it. Whatever they need to do, we'll try to work as a state to help support that effort. So the things that are happening in North Carolina are very exciting moving forward, and we're just very pleased to have some talented folks to help us work with that, provide the governor recommendations that he needs to make sure that we can get the support needed to help these installations. And the reason that the governor is so high on military, not only because of national security, the Global Response Force from Fort Bragg, those guys have to be somewhere, anywhere in the world very quickly. As an example, they came down to Haiti when I was there at the Moore Fort South with the earthquake down there, and they brought the 82nd Airborne in to be the overall command in charge, and they did wonderful work. They were there within 24 hours. Our Marines, were there wherever we need to go anytime. They're around the world on ships. The Rapid Response Force in Spain and other places, Search and MAGTF rather, they're always there ready to go. So we have 2 large installations here. They have rapid response capability. And so it's national security is a big deal for us and trying to make sure we can do the right thing for our service members. But it's also a big impact economically. How many would you guess the impact is to the state or military? Any thoughts or ideas? Any questions, or just make a hazard a guess? I'll ask Jeremy, my foil here. What do you think?
About 66 billion.
You're absolutely right. It's a $66 billion impact when you look at the active duty side, the reserve, and also the veterans. And it is second only to agriculture. So clearly, this is a place we need to kind of put some effort into, and the governor saw that and said, let's make this happen as a department. And the General Assembly went along with that, so I'm an opportunity to be able the first commander of this whole, not commander, but Secretary General of a third world country. Yeah, I'll take that on any time. But he is really proud of the fact that we have a great commission to work with issues with the military, and also his department to be able to look at the whole cradle to grave kind of situations, and making good efforts and recommendations for our state to be the most military-friendly state in the country. We have in the Military Affairs Commission some opportunities with grants for local communities, about $200,000 in this 2-year cycle of money. And so with anything related to military installation that can be helpful to improve our community relationships with the bases, et cetera, that'll be published here very shortly, voted on by the commission next week to make sure we can have the process in place, and then communities can apply for this $200,000. We think it's going to be very helpful to start the bridge to help in the future for more grants to the communities to help out when they have issues with the installation. So that's a real positive thing for the governor in the state of North Carolina. Some of the things that you realize that this is the fastest growing economy in the state, in the United States, in this North Carolina. It's about 13% gross domestic product. And it's all efforts targeted this administration. The governor has done a great job of reducing taxes and also pushing forward the opportunity to bring in new business. And we are growing very quickly. And it's some challenging things are happening now in Raleigh, but that's okay. We get through those issues. But really, he has done a great job of putting together a good team and making sure this state can continue to grow and be the best state in the country. One thing also I'm very proud of is that sitting right here we have Kimberly Lindsay, who has done a super job of NC for Me. She has talked about hiring veterans and gave us an education on that, and has been generously applied, loaned to us by the city of Jacksonville to help get those word out about veterans. And the track record for hiring veterans in the state, because of her efforts and the governor's initiative, has been impressive. 66% hiring rate. When you talk about interviewing people, and HR folks know this, that's a very impressive record. And when the governor has put veterans as part of his carrot to companies that come here in the state. When you got a workforce as talented as they are, they come to work on time, they have skills that you need. You may not have the exact skill that you need at that particular time, but they have everything else you need, loyalty, work ethic, all those kind of things, working in a team. It says a lot about our veterans and how they've been well trained. You can't get so many people in the military anymore because there's some strict requirements, weight, education, all those kind of things. So the guys that come in and gals that come in are very, very talented. When they come out, we owe them a debt to be able to make sure you can get them to work, get them in the job force as quick as possible. And some of the things we've done also as well is had the first policeman hired here from the military, from our new bill, House Bill 495, that said, if you're a military MP and you've been trained in all those kinds of things, you've done that for 4 years or 20 years, You don't have to take 20 or 500 hours of training at the community college to be a police officer. In the past, if you were a police officer in Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, whatever, you came here, you can get a gun and badge right away. It takes maybe 96 hours of training on the legal side of North Carolina. But now, with this bill, we said for military, if you can do the same thing. Rather than having to take 500 hours of training, take 96 hours of the legal side, you can go to work right away. And one of our Marines retired, started working with the Sheriff's Department here, I think in your department or Police Department. Okay, good. So it's working. We're getting our veterans who have skills and talents and recognizing their skills and talents, getting them to work right away, so as opposed to having to go and learn how to take 2 years of driving. Sorry, President, for the community college here. Good. But clearly it makes a difference. They've got the training. They've been out in Afghanistan, driven trucks, and they've welded things in different places. Why not give them credit for their experience and give them to work right away? They can take care of their families faster, it improves our economy, and they can pay taxes, so that's a good thing. But I'll stop here. I'm just really very pleased with how this community is supportive of the military. I know you talked about job growth, but remember the big bear in the elephant, the room in the elephant is the Marine Corps. They're right here all the time, and they've been very good citizens, and I want to make sure you take care of those guys, and I will do that as well. I want my son-in-law to come back here and fly planes. But I'll stop here and take a few questions if you have any comments or thoughts. Riveted. I keep them riveted. Well, thank you so much for the time this morning to talk to you. One of my favorite subjects, the military and veterans, and certainly an opportunity to kind of help in any way we can and keep this state very strong for our military. We get a lot of accolades and comments from around the country. I was in Jacksonville on the VA Advisory Committee, Jacksonville, Florida, not nearly as nice as this place. And they were talking about what we were doing in North Carolina because of the efforts of one Ilario Pantano, who has now left me, unfortunately. But he put together some great things for veterans, taking a look at the results of what we can do with the veterans, the impact. We went from $7.2 billion in veterans dollars coming to the state to $8.3 billion this past year because of better claims processing and better awareness of how to work the system so that these gentlemen, these men and women who have served in war can get the benefits they justly deserve. And it's a real tribute to his efforts. He has gone on now to Syracuse University, their Veterans Foundation, and is going to be doing a national effort for veterans, which we're very proud of. This started in Charlotte with us in the state here. It's coming to Jacksonville very soon, and also to Winston-Salem and Raleigh. It's called NC Serves, really trying to help veterans get to the impact of where they need to find resources to help them out if they need those resources. So we're happy for him, sad for us, but Jim Prosser, his successor, is coming on board. He's from Mecklenburg County. He was the president of the County Veteran Service Organization for the association across the state, well received by the entire state. So we look forward to working with him as well. So he'll be a welcomed asset. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for having me here today, and look forward to staying in touch and seeing what we can do for this great community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Wilson, for taking time to be here today and for all that you do for North Carolina. We really appreciate it. My closing remarks are mostly thank yous, well-deserved thank yous, I think. First of all, I'd like to thank all of our investors and sponsors. Economic development is definitely a team effort, and we're very glad that you're part of our team, and thanks for being here today. Sheila has already thanked her staff, but I'm going to thank Sheila and her staff again. Sheila Knight, Dan Oliver, and Cheryl Baer. The amount of work they're able to get done is amazing. They have a difficult and sometimes thankless task with some of the things we ask them to do, but we probably don't say thank you enough, so I just wanted to say thank you, and I'd like to have a round of applause for you guys. Okay, and can't forget Onslow County for hosting us today. Vice Chairman showed me around the back there. It's very impressive. I've never been up there, so it's really nice. Also, Golden Corral. Once again, thank you for the wonderful lunch. Those are all my comments, and there being no other business to discuss, I'm going to use my gavel here and declare us adjourned. Thank you.